close this noise. But you need to breathe, don't you?
I don't know. Maybe you can hear the noise down there. It's live. And let you know there's real life going on out there. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're going to wait a few minutes, let everybody get involved. See if you got a view of our little preview today of us trying to get set up. The Keystone Coppishness of us trying to get set up for these Hemp Pack Fridays. But you got a little glimpse of what happens in the before times, and sometimes in the after times. It gets a little Keystone-ish after that too. But we'll wait a couple minutes. I think we're like 11:58. We got 2 minutes to go, and then we'll get started. I think today's topic is going to be helpful, actually. You may find it interesting. I hope you do. I find it interesting. Otherwise, I probably would have got out here and talked about it. But I think a lot of people have questions that I feel like people are having questions they're not asking about him. Like they're they just kind of take what's going on out there and just kind of go with it. And in a way, it's kind of what we're doing here as well. We just sort of take what some of the information that's been floating around. We try to take questions or take questions from people who write us in or call in or email in, what have you, or people that we've met in public. And we just kind of go from there. We take some of these questions, we research these topics, and come back and regurgitate this information to you so that you can find this all in one place. Hopefully, at the end of all this series, that whenever it may end, you may look at us as we're actually helping and informing the general public about what's going on in the world of hemp and CBD. So we're about a minute away. I got nothing to say. I have nothing to say for a filler minute. Nothing. Okay. How you feeling over there? You feeling good?
I'm doing all right, man.
All right. There you go. That's Larry.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. He helps get all this stuff set up, make sure that we have somewhat of a set, if you will. So it's 12 o'clock. Let's do it. Hemp Fact Fridays. Today is... What is today? May 1st? May already. We're still locked down. So who knows? Hopefully we'll be back here June 1st. We're not still having that conversation. But today's topic is oral versus sublingual. And that sounds pretty suggestive, but no, we're talking about CBD and hemp oil. Today we're going to use that term interchangeably. And sometimes we don't, but today CBD or hemp oil we're going to use interchangeably for the sake of this conversation. So oral versus sublingual, what we're talking about is people often ask me one of about 3 questions. And then what is the best or most effective way to use CBD oil or hemp oil? And which product should I start with? Which product should I use, or which product is best for this ailment or that ailment? And unless we're really talking about topicals, oh my God, I touched my face, I'm sorry. Unless we're talking about topicals, where usually what they're really asking me is what should I start with, an oral or sublingual application? And kind of this exciting time right now because a lot of products out there, there's a lot of options. People are coming up with new and exciting products every day. So some old, and also traditional things that have been working and time tested for quite some time. So we'll talk about a little bit of that today, but before we go into all that, we have to talk about bioavailability. And what is bioavailability? I know you probably heard this. If you have had any discussions about CBD or hemp oil, we probably talked about bioavailability. And that is the rate at which something gets absorbed into your body or bloodstream. So some methods that we see today at the end of this conversation are going to have a higher rate of bioavailability than others. So from that, you can determine, which one of these methods is best for you, which delivery system, and how much should I be taking. I'm not going to give you a specific dose on how much you'd be taking. You kind of determine that on your own and talk to your healthcare providers, but I will kind of give you somewhat of a guideline to sort of figure that out by which delivery method you are using. So let's get started. We're going to start with the oral applications today. So oral applications are over the tongue, administered over the tongue. And what I mean is that to consume that through the mouth, and that gets processed, of course, swallowed and then processed, through the organs. This is one of the most popular ways to ingest CBD or hemp oil because you can do that in a variety of forms. There's many different ways to eat, consume, whether it be drops or liquid. You don't have to put the drops under the tongue. You can put it over the tongue and swallow it. You can put them in a food or beverage or some other fatty medium and ingest it that way. You can have this in the form of a capsule, whether that be a botanical capsule, like some things that we offer here at Cherry Blossom, more of a dry, or you could as a gel cap. Either way, it's being swallowed and going through the digestive process. Edibles like sweet or savory, and the most popular probably being the gummies. Everybody loves gummies. It's a great way and a great and fun way to take supplements, whether you're taking like Flintstone vitamins or any other type of vitamins or supplement. Gummies is a very popular way, a popular delivery system. And these are some of the most common ways because eating is fun. We like consuming things. I think we as people like consuming different things in different ways. Some of what we're going to be doing in the next probably a couple weeks to months is trying to start some video series about how some fun things that you can do with hemp oil yourself, so that you don't necessarily have to go out and buy edibles. Maybe you could buy hemp oil and infuse your own edibles if that is your desired delivery method. So how oral applications work is the oral consumption methods work by passing cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids through our metabolic and digestive systems. This kind of gets filtered out, through the body and delivers that way into the bloodstream. So what ends up happening is that you have veins here in your face, your neck, all that, but then once it gets swallowed, it kind of surpasses those things. So we'll talk about that next in the sublingual portion, but it surpasses all of that. It goes over the tongue, down the esophagus, into the stomach, and it starts going through the organs in that way. So it does get through the digestive and metabolic process. Some of the most common reasons that people will use, just for most of the reasons, and we'll talk about this in probably every single segment that we talk about today, which is actually going to be 3. Surprise, surprise, a little foreshadowing there. So pain and inflammation, anxiety, and again, it's a fun and easy way to take supplements. Some people just prefer to take their supplements, just pop them in and just keep going. Don't have to worry about or thinking about it for the rest of the day. Of course, they're mood enhancing. There's no psychoactive effects or addictive properties. And there's many, many, many ways, it's again, like we said, to take oral applications. So what about the bioavailability of oral applications? And if you say oral consumption, you can say oral administration. But today we're going to talk about different ways of, so I use the word application. But usually oral bioavailability takes about 30 to 120 minutes to kick in. The bioavailability, probably of all the means that we're going to talk about today, orally is going to be less. An 86 study showed CBD, the bioavailability of CBD oil at 4%. There was a study in 2009 that showed it at 6%. But I think on average, we're seeing about 10%, 20% being the best case scenario. So what that means is if you had a CBD chocolate bar, it was 100 milligrams. Okay, so you got 100 milligrams CBD chocolate bar. The best case scenario, once it passes through your digestive system, is that you're going to have 20 milligrams of CBD coursing through your body. So that's like 80% loss. And that's the best case scenario. Sometimes it can be up to 90% loss. So no matter how fun they are, they can still be effective, but you may need more from your CBD product than that. And I'm a big proponent and believer in oral CBD applications, edibles and things like that. I think they're great. I love, we're making and playing stuff in our kitchen here with CBD oil and seeing what we can come up with. And some of it is just, we can see if we can make something taste good with something that's, earthy and herbaceous. And sometimes we're trying to make the most effective products and it's R&D, so we're not selling the stuff yet, but make the most effective edibles that we can possibly produce with our hemp oil. So Half hour to 2 hours is quite some time. And again, this takes time. It depends on what you've absorbed or have not, or ingested or not ingested that day. If you had a big old cheeseburger, it may take a little while, but most cannabinoid oils are fat soluble. So sometimes when you have something fatty, like a fatty base in your stomach, and you consume a cannabinoid oil, whether it be a gummy or drops or what have you, or a beverage, it tends to sort of boost it because these oils are fat soluble. And it is also said though that even though you may not be getting 100% of your effects, you're not going to get 100% effects out of anything. Probably that you're going to consume, your body's going to consume half of it, and then the rest of it gets into your bloodstream, into your endocannabinoid system. But there have been studies that show that edible mediums last a little bit longer than some of the others. So if you're looking for more of a positive, it may take an hour or so to onset, but you may get 6 to 8 hours worth of relief if that's what you're looking for out of an edible administration, application, consumption, whatever you want to call it. So next we're going to talk about sublingual. Sublingual meaning under the tongue. Let's just speak. Most of our languages that we speak here in America are based on Latin, lingua, lingual, tongue. So we're talking about really an ancient and one of the most early forms of dosing or delivering any sort of supplement is under the tongue. From what I understand, people who take B vitamins can also often take them in the same way. There's a sublingual, maybe like these B vitamins are infused in some sort of liquid medium, and then dropped under the tongue. What this does is, and just like with the CBD oil, generally it's an infused oil or liquid placed under the tongue. You hold it there for 30 to 60 seconds, and that's pretty key. Like that's when the absorption happens. So you have a lot of tissue there, which they call mucosa. So nothing is really, it's not passing through the organ, so nothing's really breaking down. It's not distributed in someplace else before, or in addition to someplace else in addition to your bloodstream. This is more of a direct media or direct delivery system into the bloodstream. So you have, going back to those veins that we were talking about that we surpassed in the oral method, but in the sublingual method, you have your veins here in your face. You have the facial, jugular, and one other very scientific word that I could not say. So we're talking about, as the oil hits your salivary glands, which are at the base of your mouth, sitting up under your tongue. Those glands keep everything lubricated, so it helps kind of deliver the oil into the bloodstream. So once it sits there for about 30 to 60 seconds, you swallow the rest. Should have happened, the absorption should have happened by then. And then it passes through these veins and gets into direct delivery into the bloodstream. So usually like different forms of sublinguals are going to be like we talked about, oils, an oil with usually it's like a hemp extract in some sort of hemp oil carrier. So it could be olive oil carrier, it could be MCT oil carrier, hemp oil, hemp seed oil. We talked a little bit about that last week. Tinctures, which sometimes used interchangeably as an oil, but a lot of times we're seeing now they're infused liquids of all kinds. So they may not be like an oil base, it could be an aqueous base, but CBD is infused into that. Also in sprays, lozenges, and even people put isolate sublingually and just sit it right under there and they absorb it that way. So it could be a very effective way to use isolate. We don't sell a lot of isolate to the general public. That's more of a wholesale item, but some people who have said that they have kind of taken on to using that. Sometimes they mix it into other things, but sometimes just put it right directly under the tongue. So very, very interesting. It taught me something. So again, some of the most common uses or reasons that people are going to use a sublingual is for the same reasons they're using the oral application. You may be trying to help relieve some sort of pain or inflammation. You may be trying to relieve some symptoms of anxiety, and this is a faster delivery method because of bioavailability. We'll get to that next. Some people just regularly drop sublinguals under their tongue to just to give their endocannabinoid system like regular feeding, almost like anything else. I take us and everybody here at Cherry Blossom, we take CBD oil every day, hemp oil every single day. So whether it be in the form of our MCT-based tincture or our whole hemp, which is a hemp extracted hemp oil carrier, every day we go about a sublingual. Usually, again, we're getting a little older now. Body gets a little tight and creaky, so I feed my endocannabinoid system every day. Sometimes, we all get anxious. My point of anxiety is in traffic. So before I go out in traffic, it's a good idea that, 20 minutes before I hit the road, I take a little bit of oil if I hadn't done so already. And I'm in a better place traffic-wise. I don't know. It's something about a whole bunch of cars being around me and to a stopping point. I don't know. It just gets me a little on edge. So why not try? Again, like I say, it's every week. Why not try something that's not going to hurt you? Something that's actually designed or built to help you. Designed by, not by me, Right. So, sublingual bioavailability. CBD oil has an average sublingual bioavailability of 13 to 19%. There hasn't been as many studies done on the sublinguals for somehow, I think, as the oral, maybe because of the popularity of those types, that type of dosing. But some studies have shown as high as 35% of sublingual bioavailability. So again, like the reasons that people take is because it's fast acting. It's like 10 to 20 minutes. It absorbs right to the bloodstream. There's no passing through any of the organs. If that's a concern, maybe you're taking other medicines or supplements, and you don't want to interfere with those. The only thing that is there that's there to break it down is saliva. So that maybe, and also it's very easy to use. It's just throw a couple drops under the tongue and just keep on going, hold it for 30 seconds. It's not a lot to think about. Usually people can time that pretty easily in the morning or in the evening or whatever you take it, before your workout, after your workout. And again, like there's many ways, like oils, tinctures, sprays, lozenges, and isolate. So that should cover it for sublingual. I don't know if I missed anything, but I think I pretty much covered all of that. But next, and so that really, in theory, by the topic of this talk, that should be the end of this conversation, but it's not. So I have a confession to make. I was wrong about something. So, and I want to kind of clarify that here today. So I think that we've always said here at Cherry Blossom, there's like 3 different delivery methods for CBD or CBD oil, and that's oral, topical, and sublingual. And I want to kind of correct that today. And we've done some more research, and I've always kind of categorized 2 things under the oil category, and that was smoking and vaping. Incorrectly or correctly, no. I mean, it's all kind of going in. It's not going it's not going under the tongue. So, but as we've done more research, the smoking and vaping happens not so much directly into the bloodstream, but it kind of has to, or through any of the liver or any of the digestive system, but it goes through the lungs. And so what vaporizing is CBD oil or is heated to the point that it vaporizes and is inhaled and is ingested through the lungs, and the lungs offer delivery system to the rest of the endocannabinoid system into the bloodstream. So I want to correct ourselves from here on, and we are going to be saying there's 5 delivery methods. And that is, we're going to add vaping and smoking. So very different. They're both kind of entry to the lungs, but smoking is different than vaping. In theory, you should not have any carcinogens when you're vaping, but that does happen just by, naturally when you're smoking anything. You have to light it and light it on fire, so then you're going to get some carcinogens. But we're not going to really go into smoking today. We're just going to talk about vaping and how vaping works. Some call it intranasal ingestion, which in a way makes sense. Like you say intranasal, you're thinking like, you're putting your face in a bag of smoke, and, but no, it's I think they just say that because no matter what, whether you're breathing in through your mouth or your lungs, or your mouth or your nose, you're going to get that gets passed through the lungs. So again, the oil or infused liquid is heated to the point of vaporization. Vapor is then absorbed into the lungs, and it's almost immediate. CBD enters the bloodstream and it goes directly on, like I said, through the lungs. And some of the forms of vaporization. And this is interesting. There's a lot of ways to vaporize. I thought there'd probably be more ways to ingest orally, but there's vape oils, which come in the form of cartridges. They can come in the form of e-liquids or like an infused vape juice. Distillate sometimes can be used in several ways. Used as the additive to cartridges, generally with terpenes and some flavorings added. So it can be dabbed, which is basically you're taking a hot oil and a room temperature or cold oil and putting it on like a hot nail or some sort of crystal, and then absorbing that vapor that way. You could make wax or shatter, or even or even vaporize isolate. So people have used isolate in the same way they've used wax or shatter. If you're not familiar with wax or shatter, you can probably find that on the internet. We have nothing to show you as far as that here today, but it is usually a process that is done with, butane extraction. It becomes the oil becomes, you can handle it with your hands. It becomes like a sheet, almost like ice or it's like a sheet of like hard kind of crackable oil. That's the best way I can describe it. Usually sold in smaller amounts so that you can just take it home and dab it. But again, some of the more common uses: pain and inflammation, anxiety. We've done some research, and like vaporizing is one of the best forms to treat anxiety. If you're trying to help with issues from anxiety, and you need like quick, almost immediate and effective relief, the bioavailability rate of vaporizing is like on average 30 to 46%, which is like leaps and bounds over sublingual or oral. So I know that last year, 2019, was a funny year as far as vaping. And even, we were never really ones to be big on vaping and support that. But knowing that in 2020 and the last few years, that the rise in like reports of people like talking about their levels of anxiety and them trying to find effective treatment for their anxiety, maybe it's time to open that vaping conversation up again. And like, this is an admission for me. Like, I thought that, we were looking at this the wrong way ourselves. But I mean, just looking at the numbers here, and the effects, the onset can happen in 10 to 20 minutes, just like the sublingual, but you're getting twice as much almost of bioavailability that you would get just from sublingual, and probably 4 times as much as you're going from an oral application. And this is not knocking any product or brand or anything or what anyone's doing. We're just talking about what products could be right for you. So again, if you are suffering from anxiety and or just looking for a convenient way to dose, maybe you spend a lot of time in the car. You can't be dropping and stuff looking up in the car. So maybe you want to vape that way. I mean, I will say, because of what happened in 2019, you should probably be very careful and scrutinize who you're buying your vape products from. Understand, maybe do a little homework on them. Make sure they actually have a website, or even you can even talk to someone, or someone's responding to you. You want to be able to verify them. Look for certificate of analysis with what do you call those? Heavy metal and solvents testing. You want to make sure there's proper hemp testing in there, and there's nothing in there that's going to hurt you. So I think there's more and more research being done on vapes and the type of vapes. We recommend some that are dabbed with ceramic. These are vape cartridges. I think there were some with wick cartridges. There were some with like metal, but now they're being some are a little bit cleaner. They're kind of made more of ceramic, so a little bit better for the lungs. So just be careful. Some of the e-liquids, I don't know. I'm not really familiar with some of that stuff. I know that people are selling all different kinds of things out there, but we're not here to promote any of those things necessarily. We're not promoting vaping. We're just informing you that this could be a very, very effective way to ingest your CBD oil if that's the way that you're thinking. So that's pretty much it for today. Like in closing, we're going to kind of recap oral, over the tongue, e-liquids, oils, capsules, edibles. Gummies, beverages, of course. Beverages are getting very popular right now. I think one of the reasons why beverages are getting so popular because they have kind of figured out a way to make water soluble CBD, which is offering, or water soluble isolate, which can absorb into water, and whereas all the previous products were oil soluble. So this can be, you can dissolve it into water, and it kind of gives us the flexibility, or different makers and companies out there the flexibility to make some very interesting beverages. And I haven't seen the percentages of bioavailability on these beverages, but they're claiming that they're better than just most oral applications. So if you're looking for something different and refreshing, maybe the beverage is a good option. Some of the pros and cons on oral applications, of course, the bioavailability rate, bioavailability rate is a little less. They're kind of fun to take, which is a positive. Sometimes they take a little bit longer, but the effects may last a little bit longer. So, if you're out there and you're taking stuff, and send us your story. Tell us what you're doing. Send us, what's going on. Maybe we can feature it and talk about it. But it also gives a little bit of information, and we'd love to kind of have a little exchange with some of the people who are taking CBD, whether you're buying our products or not. But if you got questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Again, oral applications, some of the most popular, I think, because there's so many varied ways that you can put CBD oil or infused liquids into foods, beverages, or candies, gummies, chocolates, what have you. Sublingual, we're talking about oils, tincture, sprays, lozenges, and even isolates. Fast acting, good bioavailability, no contact with the organs, just all sublingual under the mucosa that's under the tongue, and up to 35% bioavailability rate, but honestly, more like 15 to 20% bioavailability. Now, one of the better things about sublingual, a positive, is because you're getting a better rate of absorption, you're getting more absorption, dollar for dollar, it may be a better bet than your oral applications. So if you're spending the same amount of money, say $50 is what you have to spend. So you get 5 edibles for $50. They may be marketed as 100 milligrams, but you're only getting 10. You compare that to, say, a sublingual where you're getting, up to maybe 35%. Dollar for dollar, as far as dollar per milligram, that goes a lot longer. So if that's something that's a concern, that's something to think about, then maybe you may want to consider a sublingual. But like you said, we don't sell vaporizing or vape carts or anything like that. Maybe later on, as we do a little more research and we feel more comfortable. But I think we're one of the companies in 2019 that just decided that it just wasn't worth it. We just pursue selling other things. But vaporizing or vaping is the oil is heated to the point of vaporization and then inhaled through the lungs, and then it enters the bloodstream that way. It's a great, convenient way to consume. Great bioavailability. It's like an anxiety hotshot. You're out there in public. You usually have to find a designated smoking area, but they're out there. You go out there and do your thing, come back, and probably feel a little bit better than you did a few minutes before. Also, very convenient. It's a very convenient delivery method, and you can continuously do it. It's like you can't take a gummy every 15 minutes and get the same effect, but you can vape every 15 minutes if you needed to. That's where you need to get your relief. So, and it's fast acting is 10 to 20 minutes. So that's it. Like, vaping wasn't intended to be in the mix today, but as we were doing the research, we thought it was important to kind of put it out there and give you another option to compare these two. So I guess we could call it, oral versus sublingual versus vaporization. So I want to take a minute to thank people this week, and I want to thank all the people who are delivering to us, no matter what you're delivering, whether you are working at FedEx or Amazon or what have you, whether you're delivering food, but you're really, you're keeping us alive, you're keeping us sane, you're keeping our shelves stocked, and you're keeping, a lot of people in business, you're keeping businesses going. So I know that, we're not taking anything from our healthcare workers. I think everyone understands just how hard and just what the sacrifices they're making. But these people who are making sure that the world and the economy is somewhat moving on as best as it can, all the restaurants, turn, delivery, or turn grocery store. Thank you so much. All the people who are working out there just trying to put themselves at risk, trying to make sure that we get what we need. UPS, USPS, truck drivers, like delivering stuff across the country. Thank you. They get it, you see them show up at your house or dropping stuff off. There's boxes every day. Tip them, tip the guy, man. He's out there busting hump, carrying big stuff. Tip the guy or girl out there who's delivering this stuff to you. You know, make them feel like they're being appreciated. Because everyone else is getting talked about, and the healthcare workers, but I think a lot of times they're getting overlooked. So let's talk about our sources today. Medium.com, CBDoil.org, which I think is a CBD project. VaporVanity.com, they're really good information. The International Journal of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, and the AAPS, Pharm SciTech, American Association of Pharmaceutical Sciences. So we got some good sources in today. I hope you found this information very beneficial. I know, like I said, a lot of people have been asking us, like, what do I do? What do I do? Where do I start? Don't let not knowing where to start keep you from getting yourself on a good CBD regimen. Again, if you have questions, send them on to us. And always, watch, follow, subscribe, and share. We are at Cherry Blossom CBD on Facebook and Instagram. We are at cherry_CBD on Twitter. I trip that up every week. Oh, and also, of course, our YouTube channel, so please subscribe to us there. So watch, follow, subscribe, and share. We will be back, and we will see you next week. And I don't remember what next week's topic is. I don't remember. I think it's I think it is types of CBD oil. We kind of covered that a little bit today, but who knows? We may switch that up. Next week is Mom's Day, so next weekend. So as a reminder, get your mom something. Don't forget her. All right. You got time. You get something in the mail, and you probably can't wait to see her. Order now.
Order now.
Order now. Thank you very much for tuning in. We appreciate all of you who are taking the time, whether your friends, family, customers, what have you, who come out and see us every week and listen to this stuff that we're sharing. And I hope you find value. I know that some of this stuff can be found elsewhere, but we'd like to try to consolidate some of the stuff, and you can find it all in the same place. So until next week, thank you. Just keep the flow of it. It's going. So next week it'll probably be a little more out of control, but I'm trying to keep it maintained. But until then, thank you so much, and keep on watching. Bye-bye.